Real live in real life. Well, welcome to the live stream, everyone. Trying something a little bit different. YouTube has opened up this go live with a friend kind of thing, and me and Jordan, who you guys probably know as Flywheel Films, is joining me today, and we're talking about making this a regular thing, switching off every couple weeks or so between our channels. So if you don't already follow Jordan, go follow Jordan and his brother Austin on Flywheel Films. He does a lot. He's basically, I don't want to say the second channel, but he is the companion channel as far as NC Miatas go. So go check it out. Go subscribe. Jordan, do you want to introduce yourself? Let us know what you're driving, what's on your channel, what it's all about, how it got started. I don't mean to do introductions because this isn't really like a interview sort of thing since we're trying to make this regular. But for those who don't know, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, I mean, it's a real thing. One of my favorite podcasts is Everyday Driver, and on episode 53, they did like intros. So, you know, you can do it way after the fact, but
Yeah, we're doing our best here.
I'm a little confusing because I am, yeah, Flywheel Films, but my Instagram is ghosty.miata because I don't know, I don't really do much with the Flywheel Films Instagram. If I had more time in my life, I would do more. I would do both. But yeah, Ghosty Miata is the main Instagram, and then Five Films on YouTube, and podcasts, which has been off and on a lot over the last few years. And but yeah, let's see. I
I've
have
even
my.
joined a couple times.
That's right. Yeah, I was just looking actually, and the last time I was on the podcast was a full year ago. They've only done a couple
It was a
episodes since
while,
then,
yeah. It's
but
been a while.
yeah, but you and Ahmad and Austin did one while I was, busy doing something, but,
We did, yeah.
yeah, it's been a fun journey. I mean, me and Austin decided to start doing this when we lived together back in Texas, which is still where you live, but, I
Unfortunately.
found, my Miata, which is my 2nd NC Miata. I've been an NC owner for 7 years, almost 8 years. Took a 2-year break where I had a Fiat. That was a mistake. So got back in the NC world quickly.
It's a really
And
interesting side quest is like going from an NC to a Fiat.
it really was. So my first NC was gorgeous. Highland Green, 2007 is the first year, the power retractable hardtop. So dark green with tan interior, very classy, but it wasn't automatic. But it was a good automatic. Um, and I heard people say like automatics are terrible. Automatic cars are called slush boxes. I didn't understand that until I got an automatic Fiat. Then I realized what slush box meant. You just never really knew what it was gonna do, and there
It's
was
the
no such thing
Italians,
as
man.
yeah.
Those Italians.
So, yeah, got back in the Miata gang and let's see, bought it sight unseen, 1,000 miles away in, middle of nowhere in Ohio, and drove it back, and immediately it was like, "I'm gonna make a YouTube video." And yeah, made my first video on just buying a car sight unseen. Flywheel Films was never intended to actually be Miata. We started it before I was going to buy another Miata. It was going to be like cinematic car films. I love videography, film production, um, creative things. So that was the original plan, but I just kept doing videos on my car and I like it. So I'm just going to keep doing that. But I still want to sprinkle in more things. So every once in a while, other stuff pops up. Maybe it's a friend's car, some other build. My brother Austin, as you guys might know, he had a Fiesta ST. Now he has a Lexus GX 470. He's going to start doing some overlanding stuff, just a little bit of extra spice mixed in. And we love cars, coffees, and cameras. So just
The
whatever
three C's, baby.
whatever we decide to throw in there is what makes the cut. But it's fun.
I and I'm like I'm stoked for the Lexus content. I know you're kind of like the main uploader on your channel. And I mean, I'm sure it makes it difficult considering, you live what is it, 3 or 4 states away from your brother who has, the Lexus and everything. I like overlanding. I feel like in this world of green speed and not being able to tune your car for the street anymore and like all of this stuff, there's been a small part of me that's been like, what happens if I can't get my Miata registered anymore or inspected or something like that. And I feel like outside of getting into an electric car, I feel like overlanding is the next, I don't want to say the next thing, but like I feel like that's an avenue that a lot of car enthusiasts don't think about,
Yeah.
but it's something that, because like and a car is an extension of you, and if you really love the outdoors like Austin does, you love the outdoors, you pack up your dog, your wife, your kids, whatever. If cars are an extension of you, you figure out a way to incorporate that into what you're doing. And I don't know, it makes me really excited to hopefully see some more overlanding stuff because for one, I never know where to start. Like, I don't know if you have the same issue with trying to find new YouTube channels. Like, you can just do a general search for, and I'm sure a lot of people find us that way is they search NC Miata. Well, if you hit NC Miata, you're going to see a lot of car reviews. You're not going to see like people actually living with these cars. It's going to be like a one-off here or there, something like that. And they're great videos like Savage Geese, great NC videos. At Doug DeMuro, a video from him, it's great. But we're the ones
Yeah.
that own the cars. So knowing that there's like an overlanding possibility for content on your channel makes me excited because it's like I've tried to follow them before, but I can never figure out who to follow to take seriously because you always find the people who have like $1 million overland builds,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, I have no idea that $5,000 uh roof tent. I'm never gonna even come close to that. I don't even have an overlander build right now, but I really hope that you guys post some overlanding stuff on your channel
That's
as
the
well as
plan.
Miata stuff. So
Yeah, and that's what, I started doing road trip films, because, yeah, I like living with the Miata, and that's a challenge for a lot of the car videos on YouTube are, like you said, reviews. I mean, I did that for a couple of years of, we'd get cars in, we'd review them, we'd go to events, and talking with a lot of those guys, like, I would see the Savage Geese guys and the at events, and it's like we had that same challenge where people would ask us for more info than we could possibly give because we have basically 1 week and 500 miles with a car, and there's only so
right,
much you can do. You can do a great introduction. I love Savage Geese because those guys put, like, a cinematography type thing behind it, really good B-roll, really good quality everything, like, they put production value into it, but they can only say so much. There's no long-term review. Every once in a while, you get, like, a long-term loaner, but even then, maybe it's a few thousand miles in a few months, like, you're not gonna
yeah,
find someone like a professional journalist with like a 15-year-old car and living with it like truly and like modifying it. And so it's fun to do mods. It's fun to see how the mods add to your daily life. I like adding tons of creature comforts to mine. You like yanking all the creature comforts out of yours.
a little bit, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, speaking of mods, how's your car been, and what's a recent one that like really blew your mind as far as just being so thrilled about it?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a weird place with my car. Um, I mean, most of you guys who follow me, and I'm sure Jordan, we, we've been friends for the last couple of years now. So any mod that goes on the car, sorry, my one patron, but Jordan sees it first before you. So um, I'm at a point where like I feel like I've done so much to the car that anything I feel like if I do something, I need to take something off. And to your question, the thing I did most recently, as the video I posted just this past weekend was the Auto EXE intake. And I swapped out the AEM cold air intake for the Auto EXE one. And it makes me happy for one to tinker. Like that alone makes me happy. Second is the it's not rare, but it's like the Japanese parts just are like what I'm after currently because it's they're not better. It's just something different that not a lot of like I don't blame anyone for if you go to Rev 9 and you find the Auto EXE intake and you're like, I want that. For one, it's a short RAM intake. It's an intake panel. Why it costs $350, I will never ever know. I did not pay that much. I think I paid around 100. I got it off Buyee, the Japanese auction affiliate site. Um, it's something different. And then if you do order it new, it who knows how long it's going to take. Like those carbon fiber mirrors I ordered, they took I think it took 4 months, close to 4 or 5 months to get them made and ordered like to my door. And
Jeez.
it like I totally get it in this world of people not wanting to wait. You know, you can go on Amazon and order something and you get it in a day, like half a day if you order it by 10 p.m. or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, got this intake. It's a, I guess, short RAM intake. Technically, if you've been on forums in the last however many years, you'll know that everyone claims short RAM intake produces better low end, but you lose horsepower. Cold air intake produces high end horsepower, high end RPM horsepower, blah, blah, blah. Look, it doesn't matter. It's a Miata. The engine alone comes short, like less than 200. There's no difference. I promise you, there's no difference between my AEM intake and the Auto EXE. However, with the hood vents, when you slam on the gas pedal, you can hear like you get that intake sound that you want to hear. It's not ITBs, but you get this intake sound that is probably the most satisfying part. It is 100% worth the $100 that I spent to get this little intake panel shipped over here. I love it. It makes the car a lot more fun to drive. Uh, it it does act a little bit differently. Granted, I guess you could say I'm tuned for a cold air intake where the previous filter was. I don't know if I don't know if it really changes that much, but I'm pretty particular with my car, and I do feel like in between shifts it acts a little bit differently, but it's not adding any power. It's adding noise, and I'm very stoked on it. Outside of that, I know a ton of people loved the carbon fiber spoiler. I know a lot of you were stoked about that, especially when I posted it to the Facebook groups. Um, yeah, so
Mutual love and support from all on that
man,
one.
the thing is like I've gotten to the point now where I've done so much, and I'm sure you're getting there too, where you post something on YouTube, and there's always gonna be it's never just one person. It's always like two or three that leave a comment saying how stupid you are, how stupid the mod is, how it doesn't do anything. And it's just like gotten to the point where I don't care about I don't care about that anymore. And I almost like posting on the Facebook groups just knowing that some 55-year-old dude is gonna see that and be like, oh God, I need to write a comment on this telling him how stupid he is. And you always get that. Every
Yeah.
single time you get that. I'm sure that there's gonna be someone. I saw your LED high beams video. I haven't checked the comments, obviously, but I'm sure there's going to be someone on there that says the halogen bulbs are so much better than LED. You're really losing distance when you put the LED bulbs in, Jordan. You are a moron. Why would you do that? Like, I'm sure that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
the spoiler alone, great. The intake, great. Um, same question back to you. Same question back to you, because I know you've been doing a ton of mods lately. You've been doing like I see I swear there's like 2 or 3 videos every week from you doing something different.
Yeah. It's I mean, I am in that, like, still growth phase where I haven't done everything yet, but I'm, like, wondering what'll happen when I do get to everything. I'll just do what you do, I'll just take something off to put something else on,
Right.
or I'll get another car. I mean, that's part of why I added the motorcycle. I guess Oh yeah, I was
Dude,
looking
the
at the
motorcycle's
comments.
sick.
Um, yeah, so people knew I was looking. Well, some of my friends knew that I was looking for an off-roader because I'm in Colorado. So I've been dailying the Miata for 4 years through all the Colorado winters. I just have aggressive snow and ice tires and have a blast. Tires make such a big difference, no matter what your climate is. But I was like, you know what? It'd be great to have a winter beater, something I could take on some trails. Because really, like, I don't care about going in that full, like, overlanding, like, build up this crazy rig, but there's a lot of, like, beautiful trails that you can just hit that are chill, like, if honestly, if I had an NC1 with stock ride height, I could do some of them, but
Right, yeah.
now that I have a lowered NC2, it's like I bottom out sometimes on, street bumps, speed bumps, so you know, just live that life. But yeah, I wanted to get an off roader, something fun, quirky, something else to do mods to. And but in the back of my head, I also wanted a motorcycle again because I had motorcycles for the basically the last 10 years off and on, and finally was like, you know what, I did EV journalism for like 2 years. It was time for me to get an EV. Couldn't justify a car. Didn't need a car. So this was a fun way to, I don't know, it's a toy really, but I also have been commuting to work every day because it's free. It costs nothing to run. There's no maintenance on it really, and electricity for a full tank is $1.50,
That's
uh,
insane.
and that will
Like
take.
$1.50 being from the charging station, or like you've itemized
Uh,
it out on your electricity bill?
if I charge at home, it's $1.50. This uses level 2 charging stations, which most are free. So if I go and I have charging at work, so I actually it's only $1.50 from home, but I still charge at work because 'cause I'm cheap. So
Dude, I don't blame you, man. We've got
it's
we've
free.
got charging we've got a charging station. I work at an electricity company, so we've got charging stations there.
Yeah.
It's gotten so bad. There's so many people trying to like fight over these charging stations that there was an email that went out. It was like last week that was like, if you need to use the charging station, you have to schedule it on your calendar. I was like,
Uh,
Jesus Christ, the EV people, man. They are they like fight over shit like that.
Imad's gonna take over this live stream right now.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
gotta crack open my drink. Look at this.
Tecate. There you go. There you
Not
go.
sponsored yet. If there's
That
any
is
reps
a
out there.
as someone uh, I've known to only drink obscure IPAs, Tecate is an interesting choice to see from you.
Yeah, no idea where this came from, and the hat was free from a liquor store. Me and my friends were at the liquor store for a bachelor party. It was when I was doing automotive journalism, so I got this Mercedes GLS and was filming something in Rocky Mountain National Park. We pulled to the liquor store. We all pile out. They happen to be doing some giveaways. Someone got a hat. Someone got uh, like a wristband, and then one of us won like a handmade wooden Mayan calendar that I looked up to be like 800, $900. I
Jesus.
was like, "What?
Oh,
Who's
a
gonna buy
hand
this?"
carved Mayan calendar.
Yeah, it was like 3 feet by 3 feet, like giant circle thing that you put in your wall. Yeah, doesn't
Was it
really
like
match.
leftovers from 2012?
I don't know. They're like, "Hey, we're still alive. What do we do with this thing?"
Yeah, let's give it
Put it on the
away.
wall."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, Tecate's cool with me. On this channel, we drink whiskey out of coffee mugs. So, it's
nice.
all good. It's all good. Anyways, so yeah, the motorcycle's super cool. I can get into the like EV motorcycle stuff. For one, they sound super cool. It always reminds me of like the speed bikes on Star Wars when they're on
Yeah,
Endor.
yeah.
Or yeah, indoor. Yeah, I'm into it, but like you said, it's a toy. It's a usable toy. Um,
That's
but
the
yeah,
thing.
it's very toy-like, isn't it?
That's the thing. I was, I wasn't nervous. I was gonna do it no matter what. Like, but yeah, when you put things out on the internet, you're gonna expect some flack of some sort. And so I was like, wow, everyone's gonna literally hate this. But the comments on the video were really encouraging because there were some people who were just like, yeah, this is kind of like literally one guy was like, I was about to like unsubscribe until I saw it was electric, and that's kind of cool. And I don't know, like
Yeah.
I got a couple of hateful comments too, but it's different and it's a risk. And especially once I do get an off roader, then I'll have three vehicles that I'll consistently post content on, and who knows what's going to help or hurt the channel. And I never really wanted to take that approach of like, I didn't it's not my full-time job, so I didn't wanna take that hardcore business approach and, like, cut out something I care about because of the
Right.
numbers. And I'm sure you've run into some of that with having multiple cars. You had a Miata, and now it's Miata and GTI, and I'm sure some
Exactly. Yeah.
things work, some things don't, some things get flack and people upset, and it's hard. I feel like I've kind of accidentally backed into this Miata niche, and I want to kind of branch out a bit and keep doing more stuff. And I put an LED video out on the bike. It absolutely tanked, worst numbers I've ever seen. Um, but I was
But
like,
you
well,
enjoyed doing it and you wanted
I, I
to.
I did, and it was like I was gonna do it on the bike anyways. I was like, may as well film it, throw it on the channel. And for I know zeros are really rare. Like there's not a huge audience anyways, so I didn't expect it to do well, but I'm hoping to do more adventures with that. I mean, everyone's question is, "Well, how far does it go on a charge?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, let's find out." So
Right.
this summer, a couple teasers. I'm gonna take it on the highest paved road in North America. It's gonna ride it up to 14,000 feet, do an epic film with that. My buddy Max is gonna be in his Polestar. He's gonna be my cameraman, drone pilot. Like, we're gonna do something epic, see how that goes. Like, I'm doing more like adventure, wild stuff with the bike versus the Miata has like been mostly a couple adventures here and there. Flying Miata summer camps coming up this week. So that's going to be an adventure and modifications. Like that kind of has its niche that's just working for it, and I like doing it. I started it because I wanted to do things to my car, and there's not much out there. Basically, when I got my Miata, I looked up videos. It was pretty much you, and so I started finding your videos, and I was like, well, I'll try my own because we always learn something unique, and every project's unique. And I saw you and others do like a muffler video, and I was like, okay, that looks easy. And then for
Hmm.
mine, it was like almost impossible because of the rust. So it's like, well, that's a unique situation. I'll film it.
Yeah, it's fun because I watch the majority of the stuff I watch now is a lot of it is Miata content. And so I'll log in to YouTube and that homepage pulls up and their algorithms show you, what's in it. And there's a lot of Miata videos, a lot of NC videos that pop up and I'll be like, "Oh, should I go subscribe to this person?" But I never do because it seems a little soulless in the fact of kind of what we said earlier is like we make a lot of videos on our Miatas. That's what we drive every single day. Um, and that's something that I liked about your channel is you can really tell how much you like your car in the fact that you're building it like you're building it out to make it how you want it for your road trips. You do all these experiences with it. You've done autocross at summer camp. You're not afraid to like do anything with that car. And I think for one, I really appreciate that because there's a lot of times where I feel like I'm stuck in the videos of, oh, I got a new part, I'm going to install it, I shoot a video on it, blah blah blah. I don't have roads like you do, for one, and second, I'm part of me is like I want to like take a road trip up there to go to like the Fly Me Out of summer camp. I'm genuinely terrified to do it because there's just like there's this little part of me that's like my car won't make it. But I don't see why it won't because I'll daily drive it for like a whole week, which is 40 miles a day times 5 is, I don't know, I'm not good at math. 200 miles. Is that 200 miles? Like you double that 2 weeks in a row, and that's driving to Colorado. And it's like, why wouldn't my car it would be able to do it. It should be able to do it. I don't know why there's like this weird little thing. And I think it's because all I've done is put new parts on it and then haven't really driven it that much to where I feel like subconsciously there's something wrong with one of the things I did five videos ago. Like
Yeah,
5 videos ago, I messed something up, and now I've installed all these other things, and I'm not going to be able to figure it out.
yeah,
It's weird, but in like you said too, with the GTI though, I don't understand it because the GTI I've done almost the exact same things to it, suspension, tune, intake, exhaust, all this stuff. And we went to Missouri. That's a video coming up this upcoming weekend. Is going to be a travel vlog. Get excited, guys! I know how much you love travel vlogs and GTI content. Um, anyways, I was like, I'm going to take the GTI to Missouri, and we went up to the Lake of the Ozarks area, and I drove it there, made it there fine, made it there, made it back just fine. Had to put octane booster in at every single gas stop because they only have 91 up there for some reason. I'm tuned for 93, but I had a great time. Drove it up there. There's if you live in Texas, you know everything is very flat unless you go 5 hours south. Then you get a little bit of hills. It's called hill country. Um, but whatever. The roads around the lake that we stayed at, there were no highways. It was all 2 lane back roads, huge hills, 55-mile-an-hour speed limit turns that genuinely I was surprised that they were marked as 55-mile-an-hour turns because we were taking them at 70, 75, and it was like this it was amazing. I mean, I took that car there. I had a great time. It's one of those things where it's like, how come I can't figure out how to take the NC to go do something like this when I took the same car essentially, same modifications. Everyone talks about how the GTI and German cars are so unreliable, but why can I jump in this car and go and like feel confident in it when I can't in this car? It doesn't make any sense, but that's something that I want to do with the Miata is I've done so much to it already to where I think I'm going to be forced to um, take it on a trip, take it on a drive, do something with it that's not just installing parts in my garage, which I love. I love doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do. But it's going to come to a point where I'm going to have to come visit you in Colorado or something,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. I mean, I think it does actually make sense because I mean, you've basically had the entire car apart essentially, and at least all the mechanical things. And I don't know. I felt similar things when I had my first NC. That's when I started doing road trips. Obviously, I had no YouTube films yet, but it had 250,000 miles, and it was kind of that thing where I was like, well, I probably can't road trip this. It'll be uh, too scary. It'll break down. It's a high mileage car, and high mileage cars just break. But with that one, basically getting some road trip miles under it made me build the trust in the car. And same with this car. It wasn't that I wasn't sure if it could do it, but there's always that question in your mind of like, wow, like in 2021, I did 10,000 miles. I really wish I had filmed the whole thing. I only filmed half of it, but still half of it resulted in like a essentially a 2-hour documentary
Hmm.
spread out over 4 episodes. And that was kind of a yeah, I was like, well, 10,000 miles, a lot can go wrong in 10,000 miles. I mean, first of all, you're setting off in a car with no spare tire. So it's like, well, what are the
Right?
chances of me getting a hole in the tire or who knows? But it was kind of like, well, the adventure, I'm doing it for the adventure. A lot of people do road trips, especially in the Midwest, where it's like, we have to get somewhere 12 hours away. Well, we'll just drive. And
Yeah,
but you're
exactly.
doing it to get somewhere. Versus for me, that entire trip, I didn't actually even know where I was going beforehand. I was kind of just setting off and seeing friends all around the country. And I was like, well, if I break, if something happens, that's going to be part of the adventure and kind of embrace it. And it was a bit scary doing it alone. I was going to say, basically, with your car, you just have to get a trip in and you'll be like, you know what? It worked. It proves itself. Um, it sometimes helps me because I've watched so many other YouTubers who do road trips in much sketchier cars, and I'm like, "Well, if they can do
Right,
it, I can do
exactly.
it." But I was gonna say, like, whenever you do your inaugural, like, road trip or even coming up to see me, I'll fly down there, and then you and I drive here in your car, and that would be
That would be an experience.
a fun leg. It's not the most exciting views, although there actually are some stunning views between you and me. If we take, 25 and whatever it gets over to Amarillo,
I mean,
that
there's, like, things to stop at.
yeah,
That's the thing
that
with Texas
area,
is you have to stop places.
yeah, and the whole trip, I mean, it's not like, I-70 through the Rocky Mountains, but it's beautiful its own way and would make some stunning drone shots, and there's just so much we could do. So I think that's something we should consider at some point because and it'd be fun and less,
I agree.
something could go wrong, but if we're both there, maybe 2 heads are better than 1. 2 wrongs make a right. I don't
I mean, pulling over and, diagnosing and taking an engine out surely would have been more helpful with an extra set of hands. Um, and you would learn for when you do it to your NSEEK eventually, because you're for sure gonna do a 2.5, right? I mean, why
I
wouldn't you at
don't
this point?
I know, that's what everyone's question. It's funny, I was pretty much set on that was, like, the end goal of, like, well, I'll do forced induction, I'll do 2.5, I have to, it's what everyone does, but talking to enough people, who were like, I know you can address every issue, but, like, it's harder to make a 2.5, like, track capable than it is a 2 liter from everyone that I've talked to. Um, and I'm sure you can, but, like, I guess it kinda makes sense. You're taking an engine that was built for what, Ford Fusion, Mazda 3, Mazda 6, like,
Mhm.
the least likely car to be on track. And really any car could be built up to be that, but, I don't know. Most people I talked to were like, "Well, if you're planning on tracking, do a 2 liter with forced induction. If you're planning on spirited driving, do a 2.5." Because basically it's like at 10 tenths is when the 2.5 really struggles. Um, and then there's ITBs. I mean, I so many people sent me the set of ITBs that went up for sale in Colorado Springs, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah, you're talking about Corey's, yeah. Yep, he
sore
posted those just recently.
sorely tempting, but, I don't know. There's a lot in my mind, and I will just kinda see what happens when, but there's things in the
Well, I mean,
works that we,
we know something that a lot of people don't know about. Excuse me. Jesus.
so,
Yeah, yeah. So what's going on is something to at least for, I mean, based on what you know and you know the little bit that I've been involved in, it's something definitely to keep an eye on. It's not like the most extreme. It's not like there's not like full blown. It's not the most full blown solution,
yeah,
but for year like when you told me about this thing, um, it was like the way I was looking at it in the videos, the video conference calls, I was like, this is perfect for Jordan's car. Like
yeah.
it's perfect. It's
OEM
the
plus.
exactly. It is OEM plus, like it's like everything you've done to your car is the way that if Mazda was making, like, I know the Miata is a sports car, but if you leaned into the grand touring side of, um, like, functionality with your car, a very nice set of coilovers, a good set of wheels, good set of tires, the exhaust sounds better, and you're just using it for what it was intended to be, which is you want to drive it across the country, go for it. Ghost goes east. That
Yeah,
those were the videos I saw that were like, damn, this dude's channel is pretty good. Like those are the kinds of videos that I wanted to see outside of just like the track day videos are great. Like I watch Mitchell's channel all the time when he posts track day videos because you get different aspects with the NC. And I think that's what a lot of people gravitate towards too is I'll see people comment on your videos that subscribe to my videos that subscribe to all the other NC Miata channels because they watch you for one thing, they'll watch me for one thing, they'll watch someone else for one thing. Um, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is like the NCs can do whatever you want it to. If you want to put a 2.5 in it and take it to the track, great. If you want a 2.5 or 2.0 and throw a big turbo kit on it, you can do that. If you want to drive it across the country, you can. If you want to lift it and take it off road, you can. Like I know the joke is Miata is all the answer is always the answer, and people always say, "Oh, NCs aren't real Miatas; they're the MX-5." Well, that's all bullshit because that's just based on what region or what country you are in the world. But I mean, truly, like there's a lot of things you can do with the NC that it like they really can do pretty much whatever you want within reason. Like obviously, well, I did throw my kid in the car seat in the front seat recently. Um, Outside of having three people in the car, it can pretty much do whatever you need it to.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is the solution, and that's why I gravitated towards NC. I mean, a lot of people know I was cross shopping the ND, because when I was looking for this is right when ND2 had come out, which was like, oh, an intriguing bump in power. They had kind of worked out the transmission issues, although it's still not a strong transmission by any means. Mazda intentionally shaved weight in the transmission department, and they made that decision. First is the Fiat 124 is the ND Miata with the NC transmission because the NC transmission handled the turbo that the Fiat had. So and just daily driving both back to back was like, the ND interior just it's just like a few ways that it like I get it. They kind of went back to the roots, made it a bit smaller and compromised in a few ways that I just couldn't do. I love the retractable hardtop, and if you do an ND with a retractable hardtop, it's basically a Targa. You
Right.
still have the blind spots, and it's the wind buffeting off the buttresses, and I just couldn't do it. So I was a big fan of the NC, but Darren just asked a question if there are major differences in
Yeah,
the
that's
NC
a good
between
one.
major markets. So I did a lot of research, U.S. specific, technically, but because I wanted the special edition. And each year they didn't do one every year, but there's a couple different years of special editions. And obviously, in that research, I came across other special editions around the globe. Different markets got different special editions. Somehow, the 2012 special edition that we got in the States, Canada got looks the same, but it's like a base model. I mean, open diff and everything. Versus mine, the special edition in the
What's wrong
US
with the
was
open
like
diff, man?
maxed out.
There's nothing wrong. There's
Hey,
nothing wrong with the open diff. Come on,
one wheel appeal is a fun
right?
thing.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, go
Darren's in
ahead.
Australia. I don't actually know a ton about the Australian NC offerings. I know a lot of markets. It was like they would call it Mark 3, 3.75.
Yeah.
They're just like slightly different nomenclatures. Sometimes different color codes. I mean, Germany got the Karai edition, which I really was jealous of. The
Right, that
green.
lime green one. Yeah.
We got that green paint code A26, I think it is on. We got it on a Mazda 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. No, I think as far as Australia goes, it's like outside of the special editions, I think it mainly comes down to a lot of what the governing like safety standards are. Because I've with like and I think the Australian car shares the MX-5. Like Japan is the Roadster. Um, but otherwise, I think, and even on the NAs, I think in Australia, the NA is considered an MX-5, just like here is with the NC, even though it was
Yeah.
the Miata, here's the MX-5 as well. So I think they share that. Um, Outside of major differences in the major markets, like you said, outside of the special editions, there's a few special color codes. Um, I mean, you'd
Wheels.
have to, yeah, wheels. You'd have to narrow down like the wheels. Um, like the reflectors on bumpers, the headlights would be different, I guess.
Yeah, just
Um,
different safety standards, slightly different things, which is interesting. Darren, you have to let us know if you have one and what spec you have. Actually, here, let me. There we go. Yeah, so Darren,
yeah,
let us know what
if
you
we're
got.
talking if we're talking to Darren, we have to talk upside down. You might be able to understand us a little bit better now.
Yeah, I'm curious about your spec if you have one, and also how are the prices down there? Because I've seen, some NCs pop up in England for like dirt cheap versus some places. Oh, Darren says much better. You can see
Yeah,
us
he can
now.
see us. He can see us now. Yeah.
I know some places the NCs are just riotously expensive. Some places they're dirt cheap, and I can't get it figured out. Um, but curious.
Yeah, the market's weird, right? Like it's
And
really strange.
I'd like to do a video on comparing the NC. It would probably be American specific of comparing the NC versus generations. I think you did one too, didn't you? Um,
I
of
did a
like,
little one, yeah. That the video I made was why the NC. I wish I would have added more information into this video, but it was why the NC Miata is the best the best Miata right
Miata,
now.
yeah.
And it was more so to say that it's the best Miata to buy at this moment within in 2023 to get a little bit of modern amenities, in price wise, etc. Um, but yeah, so it looks like we got one more question. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to the Australia question and price points?
Only that I want to come visit. There's a couple
Oh,
NCs
I'd love to
I've
go to
seen
Australia.
down there on Instagram that I want to go meet up with, and I've got some friends down there. It'd be good to head down under. But yeah, we have a question from someone named whatever, and I actually want to
Whatever.
piggyback on this question. So he's asking, or she, or they are asking, any thoughts on a tune? They've seen several YouTubers do the tune, but their engine blows up. I think there's more happening than just the tune. Um, typically, when something blows up, but anything's possible. People can still blow their engines, but I'm curious on this, Jackson, because I'm possibly going to be getting a header soon, and
Hmm.
I'm
You're
partially
gonna want to
curious.
tune.
Yeah, I'm partially curious what the car will do without a tune, but then, from once I inevitably get a tune, what's
Yeah.
that process look like? There's different companies. What's your like super quick pitch on that?
Okay, so to quickly answer whatever's question, I had a tune on my 2.0 engine with int. No, I didn't even have an intake. I had a exhaust.
Mhm.
So header, exhaust, and that was it. And I had the tune for 2 years or so, and I drove the car like I normally would driving to work, and I also beat on it a little when I wanted to. Didn't have a single issue. I sold my 2.0 to a genuine race team that put the engine in their NC race car, and it hasn't blown up yet. So I think I think it depends a lot on maybe where you get the tune from. There's not many choices for tunes for the NC, um, but I don't that's kind of the first time I don't know if I've seen YouTubers that have a 2.0 engine that tune their engine and blow it up. It's a modern engine. It's a very, very common engine shared across the 2.0, 2.3, 2.5. I mean, they're pretty much all the same. I think, like Jordan said, that there's other variables when it comes to blowing up an engine. So, Jordan, to your question, when I put on my catless header, catless downpipe, or not downpipe, sorry, I'm thinking GTI, catless midpipe. It was one, loud, two, did not make any more power. It sounded really cool. You need the tune. There's something about the way that the heads of the engine flow when you open up one side of it, the opportunity to tune it to maximize the performance is you got to do it. If you think about it, it's a 150 horsepower engine. You throw on a header, you throw on a tune, it goes to 165. In statistics, that's a pretty big jump, and you do feel that.
Yeah.
Like when I added my tune with my header, exhaust, muffler, just that, it turned it into a whole different car. It just felt better. It drove smoother. It gets rid of that. I don't know if you've noticed if you are driving in the summer and you have your AC on, like in first gear, it just doesn't, it feels like there's no torque there.
Hmm.
It gets rid of that. There's like a torque limiter in first gear when the AC is on and it's hot out. It gets rid of that. It just makes the car better. And I have a friend, he was on my channel for a little bit before you moved. Um, Logan, he has a totally stock 2.0, a stock NC outside of like coilovers, wheels, things like that. He kept it really basic, really clean car, but he didn't really mess with the engine because he's got bigger plans for it. He did the tune and it just makes the car better. Like stock engine, it made the car better. Um, I think the hot topic right now, especially if you're on the Facebook forums, is um, picking a tuner. Everyone has something to say about their tuner or bad things to say about their tuner. A lot of people know I have a Dynotronics tune, which I'm sure most of you are probably leaving the live stream right now after hearing that. I never had any issues, like genuinely never had an issue with any of it, but a lot of people have. Um, Believe it or not, I've had issues with Fab 9. They're a great company. They've done a lot of great tunes for people. I had a little issue with them, and it can happen to anyone basically. So I think you'd be pretty safe going with any of the major tuners to get a tune for your car. At the end of the day, they're not off the shelf tunes, but at the end of the day, they're common engines and there's a formula to it. I would doubt that someone's formula is different than another company's when it comes to tuning it. Um, but if you do get a header, you can enjoy it for a while. It's going to sound awesome, but once you get the tune, you're going to wish you had gotten it earlier. So that's
That's
that's all
my
I'll say.
That's my assumption. I'm really curious to see how it wakes it up a bit because for those who don't know, with the NC, the header is really the choke point and the airflow just because of the pinched kind of tubes.
Right.
I think I'm also going to be doing a cold air intake, even though there's not much that that does technically, but noises sounds intriguing, and I know you were talking about that earlier, so
Yeah, yeah.
open to do that. I would totally do Versatuner, which I think is Fab 9 or Fab 9 sells it because only because the box has a white 2012 special edition, which is literally my
They make
car.
for a great thumbnail.
Yeah. So that's what I would
Yeah,
look
Darren
for.
Darren just asked about that, the Versatuner.
Off the shelf? Yeah, I guess off the shelf versus custom. Hmm.
It's probably going to be a little bit more mild. Like, so I got an off the shelf tune for my, like, if you have a totally stock engine, or basic mods, I think an off the shelf tune is probably going to be okay. I have an off the shelf tune for my GTI, and I put on the GTI, I put things like charge pipes, intercooler, spark, the step coolers, spark plugs, like everything you can do to the GTI engine without breaking it open. I've basically done to it. The off-the-shelf Stage 2 tune only requires a downpipe, step coulter spark plugs, an intake. That's it. So those other mods are probably helping it be more reliable, but there is a limit to the off-the-shelf tunes. Like they're safe, they're meant to be sold to anyone. You can load it up on your car and go and be on your way. It's not going to be perfect for your car, but it's going to be good. So I don't think there's anything wrong with off-the-shelf tunes, especially nowadays when so many companies have tuned so many cars. And like I said, I don't think the formula is going to be that different. Um, if you want to buy a custom tuned, great. You're going to get a great tune for your car. But the off the shelf tunes, I think at this point they're probably fine. For NCs have been around since when, Jordan? 2005.
Oh 05 in the fall.
Yeah. I think you'll be totally fine with that,
Yeah, it's been a long time. Uh, Geez, that's almost 20 years. We're coming up on that.
right?
Uh, yeah,
Your
it's
what year is your car? 2012?
2012.
I'm
So
2011, so both of our cars are over 10 years old. That's weird to
yeah,
think, right?
it is. Yeah, I got mine when well, I guess I got mine in 2019, so it felt young and it had 25,000 miles. It was the newest car I'd ever owned. So
Right.
no
Yeah, same
no
yeah, same for me.
yeah, but
It was it was weird going from a 2009 Kia Spectra with hand crank windows, no power locks. I did love that little car,
you went
but
from a
going
Kia
from,
Spectra to a Miata instead of a Kia Soul.
if I had a Kia Soul, I would be on the track every weekend and beating every single import car in car shows.
Yeah.
I
You'd have so many
it
trophies on the shelf behind you, you would know what to do.
I know it just seemed too easy. It seemed too easy, right? Here, you want to see something funny though? I don't think anyone's seen this. Hold on 1 second. This is good. You'll like it. I hope Ahmad is here. I hope Ahmad is here for this.
He's probably not.
Hold on.
Still can't believe a mod sold his Miata. All my friends with Miatas are selling their Miatas, and it's kind of heartbreaking.
Okay. I could only reach two of them. I could only reach two of them. But I got I got these two right here. So this one right here, fourth
Kia.
Kia Texas Meet 2011, best Kia, third place.
Dude.
This one, here we go. This is my favorite one because it makes absolutely zero sense. It's the biggest one though. Street Kia's first quarter meet, best stock modified. You tell me what that means. I have no
Wow.
idea what best stock modified is, but there's one more in the closet. I just want to say,
You gotta keep those
been
forever.
been there, done that. I ran the Kia world at one point with my Kia Spectra, and I remember when those Kia Souls came out, I had to get out of the game. I had to get
Yep.
out of the game, man. They were just too good. I couldn't compete. I had to leave. Couldn't do
Yep.
it anymore.
Checks out.
But
Well,
anyways,
dang.
fun little tidbit for Jackson there. I've got a few Kia Spectra car show trophies in my closet.
Can't believe
Anyways,
it.
look, a lot of people sent messages.
Yeah.
Uh
Um, so I might
Aaron,
talk to Brian with Fab9 because Aaron's given me some. He's had good experience, and like there's mixed experience from everyone, but that's what I was leaning towards. So we'll see.
yeah, no, it's and he's look, Brian's a great tuner. I had issues with the storefront aspect of
Hmm.
it. Um, I'm not discounting him as a tuner. I know a lot of people have gotten tunes from him, and I'm sure it's great. I know a lot of people have gotten tunes from Dynatronics, and it's been horrible, but I still went with it because it was local, and I drove down there. Um, yeah, I mean, I would recommend Fab9 as a tuner all day, like for sure. No,
Yeah.
I have no problems with that. Yeah, definitely.
Yep. So we'll see. Amra the Hunter says Miata gang. Amra the Hunter, you got to tell us if you have a car and what it is. Um,
Gang, gang, baby.
do you have anything? Obviously, who knows the future, but and any car could be for sale for the right price. But let's say instead of saying you're sold your car, let's just say, God forbid, something happens, it
It
gets
was
totaled in
totaled.
your driveway, so no one was hurt. What would you do? What would you replace it with?
That's a good question. Um, so I guess it could be answered two ways. If I had cash to open up to the next project, I'm in that mode of like the next project on the channel that I want to do, and I've genuinely been looking for cars to do it to, is and it's probably stupid, but I'm a kid of the 90s, growing up on Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, all that, Fast and Furious. I want to find a clean-ish Civic and just make it make it a cool car that, I would have wanted to drive in high school. That's the next project for the channel for sure. If I'm trying to replace my Miata, that's a different question because it's like you experience the Miata, it's its own experience. If you want to replace that, you get an S2000. What are you going to buy a Saturn Sky? No, you're not going to buy a Saturn Sky. You're not going to buy a Pontiac Solstice. There's
I thought
there's
about those.
limited. I drove a Saturn Sky. I test drove one before I got my Miata, and I liked it a little bit, but it's just different. It's different.
Hmm.
Um, so if I'm gonna replace the Miata, it has to be with something that's a brand new experience. And I think for me, it would have to be, the trend right now is the JDM cars. And I think it'd be really fun and interesting to get something that was right-hand drive, something that's a little obscure, something that you kind of have to hunt for parts, like hunt parts for. It doesn't have to be, a GTR. It could be a GTT, something like that. Um, you know, I don't know, a chaser would be kind of interesting. I think it needs to, if I'm going to replace the Miata with something, it has to have that same character of the Miata does for me. Not, it's a common, even if it's a common car worldwide, it has to be different enough for me that makes me go, I'm going to drive this car today. I'm going to go enjoy this car today. People are going to look at me a little bit different. It's going to be a different experience. Something like that, I think is what I'd have to replace it with.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like kind of like a cover song has to be different or better.
Right.
Can't just
But
can't just be
it's the same thing, but different or better.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think about that way too much. And yeah, it's like what would I get alongside the Miata? I've thought a lot about this supposed off-roader and what that would be, and probably the best time to look is during the summer because, well, I don't know. Because people in Colorado want them for the summer for the trails, but they also want them for the winter. So maybe
Hmm.
like fall and spring are the sweet spots to buy. So I think uh, I've kind of been eyeing the, I guess it's early 2000s Isuzu Rodeo Sport, the two-door
Yeah, isn't
convertible.
isn't that like there's that one, isn't it kind of the same thing as like the Suzuki Samurai and like um the Geo Tracker? Aren't those all kind of the same thing?
Not quite. This one's they're like bigger brother. Like the rodeo is like a four-door, and then they had
Okay.
a brief run of two-door convertible, like the convertible over the back seats, and then the sunroof over the front seats. And I've been kind of mesmerized. It's the same as the Honda Passport, the very first Honda Passport.
Okay.
Isuzu built the engine, it's a V6. And then if you get a manual, it's a 5-speed Isuzu manual, and it's full-time four-wheel drive, or actually selectable four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive. I think that'd be awesome. It's a unicorn. They're hard to find, but not impossible. But I've also been looking at Samurais and but
Oh
it'd be
yeah, like a,
so
a Mitsubishi Pajero. Dude, that'd be
yeah,
sick.
Pajero, I would totally do a Pajero, the full size not the four-door, the full size two-door Pajero.
Yeah.
Because there's also the Pajero Junior and the Pajero Mini.
Have you
I would
seen
do
the
the
Pajero Evo?
yep, that's the GOAT, but
Yeah, dude, that is the
they
people who
go
drive their Pajero Evo and trailer their like Evo 1 to events
that's
that is the biggest flex ever. Like you want to big dick someone, you drive your Pajero Evo with your Evo 1 on the back of the trailer. That's
the
insane.
the ultimate setup for me would be a Pajero Evo towing a RS 200. Just
Yes.
that'd be the
Yes.
the garage, but
That's a
those
cars
are
and coffee queen.
yeah, those are easily 30 to 50 grand for, late 90s, probably not great condition, roughly high miles. I mean, if you want a pristine one, you're looking at above 50, which is
Yeah.
wild. Um, But I would do like a Pajero and then just Evo body kit.
Yeah, I mean,
Just have
what is it? What's the Facebook group like? It's like
um,
up badging whores or something
up
like
badge
that.
slut shaming or down badge good
Yes,
boy.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So if I got the Isuzu Rodeo Sport, I would do the side badge. I would just do the Honda Passport badges and Honda Passport grill. Otherwise, they're identical. The Honda Passport just came in four door, but you wouldn't necessarily know that. Or I've thought about the only way I could do a Jeep is if it was a male Jeep, which is right-hand drive, because there's
Yeah,
too many Jeeps out here. I would love right-hand drive. If the Miata was
it's just
totaled, I'd probably do a super wild replace it with two quirky cars like a Samurai and a Smart Roadster, both right-hand
yeah.
drive. I don't want
I mean,
anything
that'd be
left-hand
super
drive.
cool. Yeah, that'd be super cool. It's just you need something. There's nothing. That's the thing is nowadays there's nothing that you could replace a Miata with that would be as quirky, unique. You'd have to get an older car. Like I was leaving the gas station the other day to go to work, and this dude drove by me in a JDM Honda Odyssey,
Mm,
slammed wheels, body kit. And I was
nice.
like, it was an older one, obviously, because of the 25-year rule. But I saw it, and there's just that little part of me that's like, wow, that was kind of cool. Like that was a Honda Odyssey, a regular one. I've seen 100 of those, more than that in my lifetime. But
Yeah.
like something about his car, the right-hand drive, the wheels, whatever it was like, yeah, that's cool. That dude's got it going on right now. Like driving his
Yeah.
van to wherever he's going. You'd have to replace it with something like that.
Yeah. So Darren said, "What about the Jimny?" So Darren, I almost bought a Jimny about a month ago, a month and a half ago. But I've just heard they're I would totally get one, but I'm like, what if I want to take it on the highway? Not that I would use it for road trips, but like there's just the far sides of Colorado, like there's just a few places that would be cool to take an off-roader. And the Jimny just it's one of those cars that kind of does 55 on a downhill with a tailwind, and even then you're pushing it because it's a small engine. Um, I'm so jealous of you in Australia because I think you guys get the new Jimny, if I'm not mistaken, the one that came out in 2018, 2019. And then last year I saw camo versions of what eventually was unveiled as the four-door new Jimny in Austria. And that is just, if we had that, I would buy that. That'd be my instant purchase. I'm so bummed about this 25-year rule thing because that's my perfect car. I mean, it's the different four-door Jeep, and I'm in love with it. It looks like a baby G-Wagon. I saw it while I was testing G-Wagons, and next to it, it just looked like a shrunk down version, and I loved it. The G-Wagon is just too big, and I would love like, if money were no option, I would just have a G-Wagon and just, like, beat the hell out of it because
Dude,
that's what
G-Wagons are
they
sick.
they're so capable, but no one takes them beyond the mall, like
No. You'd have to put the fake, like the airsoft AK-47s in the jump seats in the back though.
Yeah.
You'd have to. Jordan,
Yeah.
so let me ask you something. So you talk about how Australia got the newer Jimneys. Have you heard about the Suzuki dealerships that have been getting the Suzuki Samurais, the new Suzuki Samurais on their lots when they're not supposed to?
No.
So a while back, my mom had a Suzuki Samurai way back in the day, the 80s, way back in the day. She texts me and she knows that I like them. She's texted me this picture of a Suzuki Samurai, brand new, in a parking lot. And she said, "Did you see the new Suzuki Samurais?" And I was like, what are you talking about? She doesn't like really know things about cars. She doesn't understand like that sort of thing. And I was like, there's no way. There's as the TikTok, no way. Um, and so I looked it up, and apparently there's a few obscure dealerships that got brand new Suzuki Samurais imported and were selling them to people, even though they weren't really supposed to. And there was one in North Texas that my mom happened to see, and took a picture of it and sent it to me. Had a license plate and everything.
Oh
So
my
they're
gosh.
here, like they're here. They're not supposed to be, but like of course Suzuki is the company that messes it up and
Yeah.
like accidentally sells it to people, just flying under the radar of American United States regulations and things like that. So I
Ah,
don't. It was interesting though. So I think I had to look up an article of it and I found one. If you're curious, you can probably look one up. I just search Suzuki Samurais in the U.S. or something like that. I don't know, but
yeah. It'd be it'd be cool. It's a pipe dream. I'm just I wish I could look more into like circumventing import rules or doing a I would even do like a show and display clause and just
yeah,
you're limited to like what 500 miles a year or less. Um,
yeah. But that man, that's 500 miles is nothing, especially for someone like you who drives so much.
yeah.
You would hate
So
that.
well, realistically, like genuinely realistically, I have some friends in Germany. I might buy a smart roadster a few years before they're legal or a couple of years
Yeah, and you
because
just
once they're
store it.
legal, their price will go up.
Right.
And so I'll see if I can buy one and import it early and just basically almost never drive it. Um, I mean, it'd be like my neighborhood car to get to the brewery type of thing. And
Hmm.
or yeah, and then once it's legal, title it and drive it because I'm obsessed with that car. Like it is the dream, but they're
Well,
just
see, that's
unobtainium.
the thing is I don't think you can. It's like it's not so much titling it and registering it. I think it's the moment it hits land and that paperwork gets pulled out and filled out, it's immediately a gray market car for show
Mhm.
and display. And I don't think you can ever change it from that. I
Mm,
think the move would be to buy one and see if one of your buddies will let it sit in their garage for 3 years until it's ready and
yeah.
then import it. And the moment it hits land, okay, 25 years is good to go. And you're on your way to driving it however far how you can drive it as far as you want to. But it's
Or
I don't know, there's
find
yeah, go ahead.
find one in because Canada's import law is 15 years. Find one in
That's right.
Canada
Yeah. Yep, you could
and
do that
just
too.
find someone up there who will sit on it, and then I'll just take it down because a car can be driven in another country for up to a year, but it has to go back to where it came from,
Right.
even if it's just for like a day, and then turn back
Yeah.
around.
Yep.
Like, so I just leave it like registered up there. I don't know.
Take a
There's a
little
lot of
Canada trip every year.
yeah. If I had more time on my hands, I would research far more things and not spend so much time
Talk about
editing videos.
rust. Talk about rust though. You have a
Yeah,
rusty ass car.
or Mexico also got them, so well,
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So the other day it was funny on the Volkswagen Facebook groups. So down the street from me, a restaurant was being opened up, and there was a VW Polo, which we didn't get here. It's
nope.
like basic. It's small. It's like a Mazda 2, basically, but
Yeah,
a
smaller than a
Golf.
golf.
Yeah, smaller than a Golf, but basically a Golf. And so it was parked there every single day working on this restaurant. It had a license plate from Mexico. I drive past it and I was like, oh, that's a cute little car. Like it's a Polo. That's funny. You live in a border state. You see stuff like that sometimes. Like I've seen Audi. What is it? An A2. It's like
Mhm.
a smaller. It's like a little hatchback from
Yep.
Mexico. And it was funny on the Volkswagen forums. Like people were spotting it on the road and taking pictures and oh my God, have you guys seen this Polo? And it's like, dude, that's been parked outside of my street for like the last 2 months. Like, it's cool, yeah, but it's like we said, it's like little quirky cars. It's not out of the ordinary, but here it's out of the ordinary, and people notice that sort of thing. Like a smart
Yeah.
roadster, like people would freak out if they saw that driving down the street here.
There's one for sale in Florida right now, and supposedly it got because if money is no object, you can get a car in here before the 25-year rule
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
build it to be legal, like, modify it to all of our standards. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I'll just wait a bit, like, I'm not that urgent, but it would be so cool to get the Smart Roadster Brabus Coupe
yeah.
exclusive. That's the full term of the trim I want, and, we'll see, but dude, it's smaller than our cars, and it has 18-inch wheels. How funny is that? but it looks good with it.
It's that's a Hot Wheel. It's a Hot Wheel.
It is, it's Hot Wheel spec. Mid-engine, turbo, Mercedes, rear-wheel drive, like yeah.
It's a GTA car.
Yeah,
It's a car you'd go on GTA 5 and you'd buy it from the
yeah,
Los Santos Southern Auto Sales or whatever the hell it's called.
yep. Take
Um,
it into Leicester, yeah.
yeah,
Andrew asked about, Suzuki Cappuccino. I've given those thought too, the Honda Beat, the
you drove one
Cappuccino.
recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I've driven a few, and my friend Archer has one that's hilarious. It's got a wing bigger than yours, and it's a car smaller than yours, and it's hysterical. The Cappuccino is intriguing because it's a T-top, a target top, or a full convertible, and it's all
Right.
hard shell. It's really quirky. It's front engine, rear wheel drive. Looks like a shrunken NB Miata. I've given those serious thought. I still would just because they're easier to obtain. And the Honda Beat is the other easier to obtain. The third of the trifectas of 90s JDM K cars,
AutoSam.
AutoZam AZ1, which would be the
Dude,
dream.
so sick.
Someone here that I met has a dark blue one with bronze wheels, and it has the Mazda Speed body kit, and it's just like perfect.
Well,
But you're looking at
remember
20s.
the one that showed up to our little pop-up meet last
Yeah.
year.
Uh,
Yeah, dude, that was a guy who lives in Denton. He is all into weird little cars like that.
I
Um,
love it.
they're so cool. They're so cool. They're just it's like like the funny thing is like imagine you live in a country, for example, Japan, you want a cool car, but you can't afford one because of the taxes. So you buy a miniaturized version. Like only in
Yeah,
Japan would they do that. You buy a miniaturized version of a bigger car so you can get around the taxes and drive like a mini Ferrari. Like
and they still
that's
have
it's
it.
so weird.
The Honda S2000 was discontinued, what, over 10 years ago,
Yeah,
but
they
they
have the
still
what
have
the
the Honda
S.
S660, which
Yes,
is a
they're
mu
so cool.
it's tight, and there's also the Daihatsu Copen, which I would love an old Daihatsu Copen, and we can almost import those now too. So there's just a bunch of cars on my radar. The Honda trucks are hilarious, or the Acti, like all those
Oh,
little K
I want a
trucks.
K truck. I want a K truck so bad.
The
I would
Delica.
love one. Yes, the
People
Delica is
ask,
sick.
people are like, "Okay, you have a 10-car garage, what would you fill it with?" And I'm like, "Well, I'd fill a 10-car garage with 16 K cars because that's how many would fit."
Right? I mean, I want a K truck because it's like living in the United States is like the smallest truck you can buy right now that's new is probably what the Maverick or the Ranger,
Maverick,
and
yeah.
it's $50,000.
Yep.
I want a K truck that I can drive to Home Depot and pick up flowers and dirt and like not give a shit about it and
Yeah.
drive around and pick up all my things that I need and come home because that's the whole point of the trucks. That's the thing about United States is like they make all the cars bigger. You buy a truck. If you're a dude, you buy a truck. If you're a woman, you buy the SUV.
Yep.
It's only for the size factor, but like a truck, like think about like the old Rangers. Like you can buy a truck that's useful. You should buy a truck because it's useful for what you need it for. Like I in my past life, I envisioned myself driving a K truck to go pick up my 2.5 engine, and it sits in the back perfectly. I drive my little K truck home, and I'm like, hey, this is the perfect truck to do this for. Instead, I had to borrow my friend's dad's truck, a four-door full-size GMC Sierra or Sienna or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
it's like driving a tank down the road.
I know. Gone are the days of nice small things. So we didn't get it in the States, but do you know of the Mazda BT50?
Isn't that the Ranger
Yeah.
version? Yeah,
It's a Ranger with a CX-5 face, which is just the weirdest thing to me. Every time I see a picture, I'm like, "What?" It's like
that
that
is really
Facebook page
strange.
that's like unnecessary automobile front end swaps or
Yeah,
whatever.
yep, yep.
It looks like one of those. Um, yeah, I
That's
know.
too good. Well,
Um,
we've been at it for an hour and 15. I
Yeah,
think it was a success.
that was
Um,
fun.
I had a
Well,
good time,
we could obviously talk for hours and hours, which is why we should do this again.
dude. Yeah. So
And
I
yeah,
think for those watching still, I think next time we do this is going to be on Jordan's channel. So if you haven't subscribed to Flywheel Films, go over to Flywheel Films and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment below. Anyways, I thank you for joining, everybody. I had a lot of fun. I think Jordan, yes, you had a lot of fun as well.
yep,
It's good. Car talk is always good, man. It's
yeah.
you can
And we
go
could
on
talk about
forever.
so many other things too. There's lots in our lives. I just had a bomb Fortnite match right before joining. That's why I was late. So,
Dude, I'm ready, man. I'm ready to play video games again. I just have not been able to. I can't play late at night because my kid sleeps, and
that's right. Yeah.
it's just it
Well,
is what it is. So
one of these days we're gonna find a few Miata people who are also into Fortnite and just have a good old time. So,
we're gonna have a Miata squad. Talk about Miata gang. We're gonna have a Fortnite Miata gang, and we're gonna wreck some little 12-year-old kids, make them cry. So, um, all right. I think I'm ready to sign off. But
yep,
as I
sounds
said,
great.
thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. Go follow Flywheel Films if you haven't already, because we will be live streaming there next time. And if you are new to my channel or haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. Stay tuned for more content. And I will see you all in the next one. See you later, guys.